welcome to another presentation of KCJC Sports Talk. I am your host, Kenyut Connell, and my co-host is...
Yeah, John Campbell, live and direct from Kingston, Jamaica. Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
John, first I want to say thanks to our audience for watching our program. And I also want to encourage all of you who have been subscribing to our program to continue to do so. We appreciate all your comments also that you have been leaving. John, let's start off with the top stuff that's occurring in sports right now, a top story of what is trending in sport. You want us to start off with the major story of the week, which is Tiger Woods' accident.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you said that's a major story because I had a different take on it. Well, let's hear what's happened to the tiger now.
Yeah, I'm sure by now most of our listening audience would be aware of the fact that Tiger Woods was in a rollover accident in LA. A very terrifying rollover, a crash that caused him to fracture his tibia and his fibula.
Ooh.
Compound fracture also. If our audience understand what we're talking about, bones have broken multiple places and also protrude through the skin. So he had to undergo an emergency surgery immediately. The deputy sheriff who actually came onto the scene said he was very surprised to find Tiger Wood alive and also conscious, was able to speak to him and so forth. And it was just last week that I was thinking of Tiger Woods and I was thinking about his impact on the sports of golf. I was kind of measuring what he did to golf and kind of measuring what Usain Bolt did to track and field. As we all will agree that both of them are legend of their sport, but just the whole, the way in which Tiger himself has changed the game of golf. You have
Absolutely.
not just golf outfit that is designed for him, but also clubs that are designed for him, shoes that's designed for him, and everything. Just the whole impact of somebody who makes such a difference in the game. He was actually chasing Jack Nicklaus' records. In the golf, in golf. Nicklaus records in golf, and then that's what I was thinking about. How long would it take him? And how relevant he was to the sport. Because remember, I think he won his last championship back in 1990. 2019. My fault. 2019. Excuse me. And so I was thinking about how whether or not he's going to win another major. That was his last major. But then I thought about it. I said, even if he doesn't win another major, just his market value in the sport is worth him staying in the sport. Just like what we talked about Usain Bolt, I think that Usain Bolt should have stayed a little bit longer because of his market value. I know why he left the game, because he didn't want to go through the training. So yeah, we just want to say that we hope and wish for Tiger a speedy recovery. And knowing the kind of person that Tiger is, I wouldn't be surprised if he go through all the necessary recovery that he need to go through, including therapy, and be back playing golf. Because remember, this guy has been through a lot, both um, you know, when you say privately and publicly. Because remember, he had situation when it comes to his private life. He had situation when it comes to drunk driving. He had situation whereby I think this is about his third accident. You know, and he most of all he had 5 back surgery. As a matter of fact, he just had a back surgery in December. So when you think about how tough this guy is and what he brings to the sport of golf, I would definitely like to see him back. But it is yet to be seen because of how serious his injuries were.
Yeah, well, from my point of view, though, I always have to question. I haven't heard reasons behind the accident. Was it just, what caused the accident? And there were some persons were saying, was he intoxicated, and so on and so forth, But from my point of view, I think from the time he had that incident with his wife and had an accident and, another car accident, I don't think he has been the same ever since. I don't think psychologically, mentally, I don't think he has been the same. And so I'm wondering if he's still addressing some mental issues, as he goes along. And he came back to the sport and he did fairly well, not at the top of his game, but he did fairly well. But I still question some underlying issues in terms of his mental state. Personally, I don't think he has recovered mentally from that ordeal with his wife and the accident, and he's losing sponsorship and all these things from the various companies. I think that kind of knocked him a little, and I don't know if he has recovered sufficiently from that. But as you rightly say, let us hope that because he's good for the sport, as was Usain Bolt, as LeBron James for basketball. He's good for the sport, and he has done remarkably well for the sport. So I'm saying I wish him well. Let us hope he can return and make further contributions to the development of his sport, which is golf.
Yeah, that's true. But actually, there was a toxicology report, and it said that he wasn't drinking, and they don't know whether or not he was distracted. But they said that the area where the accident occurred is an area that's known for a bunch of accidents. But then how do you justify that just by saying that when we know that Tiger is prone to having accidents? I'm saying he's prone to having accidents. So
and that's my point too.
we just hope that, and I have to say that I'm actually looking into what you're saying, because at one stage there was a situation whereby he was caught, and he was not only intoxicated with alcohol, but there were certain drugs in his system also. So then, you have to wonder if he is the same Tiger that we know before all of these things occurred. But like I said, there is a lot of value that he brings to the sport other than just merely winning majors. His market value, the whole idea of him being in a major, and the crowd that he draw as an individual. When I heard about his accident, I couldn't help but think back to Kobe Bryant, that's the first thing that came to my mind. And I'm saying, hopefully we don't lose another legend. But then thankfully, the news came in the next morning that he was up and well, and was even tweeting and saying thanks to people, and saying that he's in recovery mode right now. So we just, like we said before, just hoping that he will recover soon. And like I said before, I would love to see him back on tour again, because he does make a huge difference.
Certainly. Well, one thing we can rest assured, he'll get the best of medical care.
Yes, that's for sure.
He will not have a problem with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, I want to move on to some football news here, because there's a little wave of excitement in the air, an expectation that's mounting in favor of Jamaica qualifying for the next FIFA World Cup, which is due next year. The qualifying round should start in September of this year. But there's, as I said, the excitement mounts in terms of the great possibility that we can qualify again. The last time we played World Cup, the first and last time was 1998. Way back then, that's a number of years, so it's a long time. So I think the stars are lining up in favor of us regaining a spot in the World Cup. And players we have a nice crop of young players bustling with energy. Like, for instance, this player called Tyree McGee, formerly of Harborview and Jamaica College. Now, when I saw him play for Jamaica College, he was an exceptional kid from then.
I remember.
Yes, man, he was an exceptional kid, right? Now he's now playing his trade in Europe for a club called UPenn, some UPenn club in Belgium, and they are thrilled with him. His skills are exceptional. In fact, one person compared him to David Silva, who played for Manchester City, and so on. His level of skill and command of his midfield position. And there's some other players too that are propping up, like Bobby Reed and, well, we know Leon Bailey and Ravel Morrison, Shamar Nicholson, a whole bunch of vibrant. And guess what? Most of them are playing as professionals in foreign leagues. So they are gaining valuable experience. They are gaining knowledge and broader understanding of what is international football. In fact, from the words of Maggie himself, he said when he first went to Belgium to play, he was almost confused because he was used to holding the ball, like here in Jamaica, you hold the ball and thing. When he went there, he realized that didn't work. In fact, they were trying to dissuade him from don't hold the ball. It's more positional play, movement off the ball. And he said he had to relearn that.
Right.
When you hold the ball, it's because you're going to score a goal.
Right.
So very interesting times ahead for our football.
If you're a player and you have the flair and quickness like Mbappe, right? The French player who now play for PSG. If you have the quickness and flair like those guys, then you can hold the ball, But if you don't have that kind of flair and quickness, you got to play possession ball. And that's what I've always said about Jamaica football. I've always looked at the team and, the talent is there. There's no doubt that the talent is there, the skill is there and everything like that. But in most cases, they do not play positional football. And if he's compared to David Silva, then he actually has to be a person who knows how to distribute the ball and know how to move in spaces, because he was a master that he's not quick, but he's definitely a master that. So, that's what I think we're lacking as it relates to Jamaican football. It's not so much the natural ability, the skill, the speed, but it's being able to put all of that into how the game is supposed to be played.
Exactly. Well said.
We shouldn't wait until people like Mbappe come into football from the last World Cup and show how speed can be utilized fully to be as effective as he is currently. One of the top players in Europe right now. As a matter of fact, people are not talking so much about Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo anymore. They're talking about Mbappe and Haaland. Haaland is the guy who plays for Dortmund in Germany. They're comparing these two because these two between them they have scored like about 5 goals, but we get to that later on. So far in the Championship League, just want to go back to Jamaica. Then having all of that talent, also the coach has to be able to know how to utilize the players properly, how to pick the correct team, and how to utilize the players properly. I think the game has become a little bit too technical for our current coach. And a lot of people might not be pleased to hear me say something like that. But judging from what I see, the way our football is played today, all over the world, I think the technical aspect of the sport have gotten away from our current coach. And so that's an area that we need to address. We might have the players, that we're excited about, but is the excitement going to be continued into the game? That's the next question. Are we going to select the right player? Are we going to use the best formation depending on who we're playing and so forth? So that is what I'm concerned about more than anything else. Not so much the caliber of the players that we're going to be bringing into the team, but how these players are going to be utilized. Are they going to be utilized properly?
Yeah, but that I think there's a saying, train the trainers, where you train the trainers. I think that can be learned. I think our current coaching situation and coaching staff I think these things can be learned. And I understand what you're saying, that at the global, international level of football, it requires a higher perception of technicality in terms
Mhm.
of how players move. It's not just, yeah, we have a good player and yeah, he can do wonders. You might have a good player and if your team might just make a hell of a difference because of how the other team plays against you technically. So I understand what you're saying with that. But I am still hopeful that Jamaica can indeed qualify with this crop of youth. And they are young, 22, 23, 24, 25, going up that, 30 at most, going up there. So it augurs well, I think, for the future. Mind you, Jamaica is what, 47th? We are ranked 47th in FIFA. We are third in CONCACAF. And so, the onus is on us to kind of push ourselves a little bit more and get to higher levels. And when we get to higher levels of ranking, it again bodes well for our professionals because they get, more opportunities will open for them with the various teams
Right.
across the world,
And I agree with you, John. Several coaches who have visited Jamaica from abroad in places like Brazil, Germany, and so forth, they have looked on our players and have already reported that we have pace and power, which is critical to playing football. We have pace and power, and in a lot of instances, we also have the flair that it takes, and we are very quick on the ball and everything like that. Where we fall short, like I say, is our technical ability to apply all of this in the game. That's where we fall short. And that's what I'm concerned about. And I think when with FIFA ranking, I think FIFA is looking at the fact that the potential is there. And they're looking at it and say a lot of these players are playing elsewhere too, and they're doing fairly well. And so I'm not quite sure the criteria that is used in the ranking, but I'm sure that is going to be looked at. The quality teams that you're playing for and so forth, when you're playing abroad. So of course, I think that they're seeing the potential that we're seeing also. Now, again, my question is, how are we going to use all of these potential in a technical form that it takes in order for us to be successful?
That, I believe, again, as I say, is a matter of the learning process. And I think the coaches that we have here can learn that. It will require, as I say, being further exposed to higher level football. So I understand where you're coming from. I think that can be done. I think that can be done. And I will look forward to that being done.
I don't know, John, I don't know if you can I move on from Jamaica now, or are you what's
Well,
going to?
well, I wanted to add that just today, as I said, the wave of excitement around Jamaican football at this time. Never mind the COVID-19 restrictions. But there's another player, Mikel Antonio. He plays for West Ham, professional,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
he has
Uh-huh.
Jamaican roots. It was announced recently that he wishes now to abandon his eligibility to play for England and play for Jamaica. He is gung ho. Just recently wants to now play for Jamaica. I remember he was approached some time ago and he didn't take it up. But now he says he wants to play for
What,
Jamaica. So
wasn't he the same player who said he would never play for Jamaica?
I don't know if he had said he'd never play for Jamaica, but I know he didn't take up the offer to play for Jamaica.
Okay. Okay.
I quote me on saying that, Mikel Antonio. So I'm saying that all that is great stuff, and as I'm saying, we should qualify this time. But
I hope you do.
one more thing before we move on, because I think, was it 2 programs ago, we spoke about the the tendency now of our professional sports people to go into business, Bolt,
Right.
Freighter,
Uh-huh.
and more recently, this reggae boy, he's goalkeeper Andre Blake.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, man, he opened a sports bar in Clarendon. Nice sports bar
Wow.
called Blake's Kickout Sports Bar. What the hell of a name, eh? Blake's Kickout Sports Bar in Clarendon. So again, I'm so happy that these players, professional players, are using their earned money to go into business. There will be life after football. There will be life after football. And I'm
Right.
happy to see that they're using their monies to invest wisely in businesses and all kind of ventures. So I have to lift my hat off to Andre Blakeman,
Yeah, and Blake is still he's still an active player right now. He's just I think he's just recovering from injury, but he's
Right.
still an active player.
Yeah,
Um,
man. Good thing.
so I wish them all the best, man. And
Absolutely,
that's the
absolutely.
approach. That's the approach, and I hope the Jamaican government realize that they're doing something very important to the economy because they're doing something that is creating employment for other people in Jamaica
Absolutely, absolutely.
also. So it's not just an investment for themselves, but they're allowing other people in Jamaica to be able to find employment. And we said it before that the government of Jamaica is not going to be able to provide job for everybody. So we applaud people like those whenever they become entrepreneur and do things like those. We applaud them.
When you should
So
mention
that's
that. No, I mean, for
and
the
then I'm even more excited knowing that he's still playing. He's still an active player, and
yeah,
he has seen it fit to get involved in business, to
absolutely.
kind of help out the situation and help himself out. But
Yeah.
yeah, John, I have to talk about the Championship League. I don't know if you have been watching the Championship League. Um, the first legs of the Championship League round of 16 was, it's been so exciting, man. And I've watched some of the games, and this is getting real good. I haven't heard a lot of the guys on our forum talk about it because I think most of these guys are pretty much just into, the Premier League. But I've been watching it, and it's very exciting. I mentioned to you about um people like the big talk right now. There's so many things that we could talk about as it relates to the championship football. But what is being talked about the most right now is Kylian Mbappe and Erling Haaland. Now, Haaland is the guy I'm talking about. I'm thinking that he's from Norway. I think he's from Norway. And of course, you know that Mbappe was the star for the World Cup for France.
Yes,
You
he
know,
was
what
quite a
they're doing right now is they're comparing these two guys, and they're talking about them, elevating them, and they're talking about the struggles that Messi and Ronaldo and Cristiano Ronaldo is having, because they always compare those two also. But the comparison that they're making with Mbappe and Haaland, they're talking about how these two guys are comparing, the pace and power of Haaland, and they're comparing Mbappe being a quicker player. Not only is a quicker player, but the flair that he has, and the different sections on the field that you can use him on. He can play a striker, he could be on the wing, pretty much any position. And he poses a danger whenever he catches the ball. He poses a danger because he's so skillful. I'm sure you know who I'm talking about. This is the same guy that they have compared to Usain Bolt, said that he could beat Bolt, maybe beat Bolt in 100 meters and so forth. You know, he is very quick. He's very quick, and it's very exciting to watch him. I watch him in their game, the Paris Saint-Germain game against Barcelona. And in that game he scored 3 goals. This is we're talking about the first round of I mean the first leg of the round of 16. He already scored 3 goals, and Holland is also doing very good because he scored 2 goals for Borussia Dortmund against Seville, which is from Spain. So these two guys is a big talk right now as it relates to the Championship League. And what they're talking about right now, they're talking about more so about what's going on in Spain. That Spain is falling behind as it relates to football when it comes to the Championship League. They're asking if anybody think that Messi or Ronaldo, Cristiano Ronaldo, will win another championship. And the answer is very easy from my point of view. I don't think any of them will win another championship unless they change their allegiance to another side. But like we talked about before, remember that PSG, that is Paris Saint-Germain, they're interested in in Messi. And the word out now also is that they're also interested in Ronaldo. You know, so hopefully, if they want to win again another championship, I think they have to decide to make a move in the summer to possibly Barcelona. And like I said before, remember I said that Manchester City was also interested in Messi, as far as I know. But if they stay with the side that they're currently with right now, with Barcelona and Juventus, I can't see them winning another championship. They are just not surrounded with the talent that it takes to win a championship. You know,
Yeah, yes. And that was the case with when Messi went to in the World Cup when Messi went to play for his home country. People were saying,
mhm.
how comes Messi can't win a championship or win a cup? He has not won a cup. I'm saying, hello. You have 10 other persons around you. And unless those persons are providing the system and the network for you to score, then no matter how good you are, you can't.
Exactly.
So you made that's a critical point there. All right. I want to.
Remember, Messi is going to be 34. I think he's going to be 34 in June, and Ronaldo is already 36 years old. So I can't see what amount of talent they're going to be able to afford to bring these players that into these to these guys that is going to allow them to win a championship. So right now, the big focus in Europe is on the Spanish teams. How the Spanish teams are struggling. Not only are they struggling, but they're struggling real bad. And they're faced with a dilemma because we talk about it on one of our program that, you know, they're struggling based on age and they're also struggling based on finance.
Yeah,
You know,
funding.
they just don't have the money to spend and the players are getting older. You know, the problem is also showing up in Italy. You know, Italy is also having problem. The only thing is that we're now seeing a little bit of an upside as it relates to Italy. You know, so some of the sides are doing pretty good, and that might force Juventus to invest money a little bit quicker, so that the Italian league become a little bit better. But I kind of got a breakdown of what's going on as it relates to different countries, and so far, England is 3 of 3. You know, Liverpool won, Manchester City won, and Chelsea won. Of course, Chelsea won. So, you know, England is doing very good. Germany is 2 out of 4. You know, Italy is 0 out of 3. Spain is 1 out of 4. And Portugal, of course, they only have one team, and it's 1 out of 1. And France is 1 out of 1.
Yeah.
You know,
Okay. Okay.
so you know, pretty much they're doing pretty good. But when you look at Spain, it's a big issue. Spain has a whole lot of rebuilding to do, and the rebuilding is not, like I said before, it's not just about finding young players. It's about also making sure that you have the money to pay for these young players.
The
You
money
know,
is always going to be always be a challenge, because of what's happening now with this pandemic issue. So it's going to be left now for any club that can drum up and garner the finances that they need to survive. Not only to survive, but to survive, competitively. That is going to be the test, but it's affecting all clubs because you don't have the what do you call it, the support, the spectator support in the stadium. You're not having packed stadiums anymore. So so that's a huge chunk of your money that is not there anymore. So
yeah,
that's
but
a reality. That I don't know. It's going to be a hard time for them to really recover from that. I don't know.
yeah, but the Spanish teams, they were struggling. There were signs of struggle before even COVID, and it looks like it's going to be a difficult road ahead for them. You know, because think about even how much more difficult it's going to get because they remember the Spanish teams have lost Sergio Ramos and they have lost uh, PK also, and remember that Real Madrid have not even found a replacement for Ronaldo yet. And Ronaldo been out of there since 2018. So when you think about it, you see that they have a very difficult road ahead. And of course I watched the game with Atletico Madrid and Chelsea. They don't look too bad. I mean, Chelsea had, total control when it comes to ball possession and so forth. They were in the game until Gerard made that spectacular goal. I don't know if you saw the spectacular goal from Gerard. It's definitely going to be one of the goals for the championship league that people are talking about. But it's going to definitely be a difficult road ahead for them. And like I said, if it's going to be even more so if Messi decide to leave
Well,
and go elsewhere.
let us see how that goes. Yeah, I want to move on though. If you have not more to say on football, because I really want to speak a little bit. Last week we had a guest. Our guest was Wavel Hines.
Right.
Yeah, and we spoke. I remember we were talking about the challenge that the West Indies selectors will have in
Yes.
trying to put together a side to face the Sri Lankans in the test coming up shortly.
Very much so.
And it seems to be true now that they are indeed having a warm time, because here comes a bunch of no names. You put them in a test and they perform incredibly well. What do you do with them? Cast them one side or incorporate them in the team? If you should incorporate them in the team, who do you displace? Who do you displace? So that is where the big challenge is. And I think given the performances of the new young fresh guys against in the recent test, it's going to be a challenge. You have people like Bonner, Myers, and your friend Cornwall, no, the spin
Yep.
bowler.
Mhm.
You have all those guys who are doing exceedingly well. What do you say to them now? So it's going to be a challenge. But not only is it going to be a challenge, but it's going to be very interesting as well to see how the selectors um, put together this wealth of talent that they have. It's going to be very interesting.
Yeah, but when, like I said before, I was like so sorry that I had to miss a part of the show. But when you think about, John, it's no ordinary performance, whether it's Bangladesh or whatever it is.
Yeah,
It's no
certainly,
ordinary performance.
certainly,
So
certainly.
I knew this was going to happen for sure. You know, I don't care about how good these selectors are. It has to be a difficult process for them.
Have
Because
to be,
when you think about
have
people
to
like Bonner,
be.
you know, not only did he score well, but he was voted as what, man of the series?
Right, right.
Right. You look at Cornwall, and this guy is a giant. You know,
Yes,
he's a
yes.
giant. He
I
weigh
was
like what,
concerned
100,
about that.
180 something kilogram, 185 a kilogram or something like that. And
Maybe phones, maybe phones.
this guy is a off what is the off spinner. I didn't even know that was popular in cricket anymore, but he's an off spinner. And the number of wickets that he took, not only did he take a very good number of wickets, but he also performed well fielding from
Yeah,
first slip. As a matter of fact, in the last test, he took a magnificent catch at first slip. So now, when you look at all of these things, you're not trying to punish the 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 the, the first 11, but the debutants, they did so well that
yes,
you
yes,
have
yes.
to
Amazing well. And
consider
even,
them.
yes, man, and even the captain, Brathwaite, he also did well.
Right.
So now do you bring him into the side and say, hey, Mr. Holder, okay, Holder was the previous guy, previous captain. What are you going to do with a Holder now? It's crazy. It's going to be so crazy. Crazy.
Think
But
about. think about, well, Holder, just like what Wevel was saying last week, Holder is going to be in the side because he pretty much is a valuable player. I know
Yes,
he's going to be there for
yes,
sure,
yes, yes.
and did
And
very
he
well
did
as
well.
a
He has
captain
done well.
also.
You know, he has done well.
But the first, some of the people that I think have to be concerned right now is the first 11 wicket keeper, because the wicket keeper who kept the other day did
Yes,
very well in the last test.
Joshua da Silva
Yes, did very well in the last test. Very well.
with the glove and the bat.
Exactly.
With the
Exactly.
glove and the bat. You cannot write off that's a valuable. You remember Jeffrey Dujan years ago.
Exactly.
He
Uh-huh.
was not only excellent behind the stumps, but you could count on him to put some runs on the card as well. That's a valuable player, you know.
Yep.
You know, have
And
a wicket keeper who can keep but can make runs. That's a valuable person.
exactly.
And this youth, and he's 22 years old,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Joshua De Silva. No,
Yeah.
that's remarkable. But you know what it's saying here though, Ken? It's saying that we do have inherent talent across the region.
The region.
We
Yep.
have a wealth of talent across the region. How do we harness this talent? How do we nurture this talent? And how do we make this talent work for the benefit of the region and, you know, in the individual countries as well? Like football, like cricket, you know, we have the talent. I'm going to talk about track and field soon, but how do we, you know, that is the challenge, you know?
What happened, John, is the the fire is now burning, and and I have a feeling I'm not in the West Indies, but I'm paying attention. Apart from, I saw an article about the wicket keeper. He's talking about how he's developing his skills and so forth to be better, to do even better than he did
Yeah,
in the second test. But
yeah,
I haven't seen anything whereby they're promoting as much as they should the win in Bangladesh. This is something that you have to try and keep all of the glory and all of the fire burning until the next test. You have to keep it going, because as I'm driving home, I'm thinking about what you said about what some commentators are expert in cricket believe that within 10 years there'll be no West Indies cricket. I'm thinking about it, and I'm trying to figure out a way that this could be prevented. And just like you're saying, it's exactly that. We have the talent there. We just got to find a way to harness this talent and make sure that we continue that momentum. We continue that fire that we saw burning in Bangladesh, because cricket needs that. They need that. They need that kind of fire. And it's better felt when it's coming from young players. And
yeah.
so they have what it takes to blow this thing out of proportion as much as possible to try and win back some of the spectators who have left the sport of cricket.
Yes,
They have
boy.
all it
Yes,
takes to do that.
yes.
And I just don't feel it at all. Like I said, I'm not in the West Indies, but I'm reading and I just don't feel that fire, the continuation of that heat, coming from the West Indies. So apart from one article that I saw from there was one coming from Clive Lloyd, I think, and there was one coming from, I think was it Crawford? I can't remember, where they were talking about how difficult it's going to be for the selectors to select the team for the next series that's coming up and so forth. But at the same time, I would like to see a lot more from the West Indies Cricket Board. I would like to see them, you know, try to promote what happened a little bit more, you know, so that we can keep the fire burning.
I don't know. I think in all fairness, the win against Bangladesh has been promoted. Maybe we could have done some more, but we can't over, as it were, promote or go too overboard with it, because remember, you know, Bangladesh is not in a big side, you know. I mean, in cricketing terms, you know, it's not no big side, you know. The big sides are the ones you will know, the Australians and the South Africans and the Englands and the you know, those guys. You know, those are the big sides. When you beat them guys, then you can start to beat your chest. But you don't beat your chest too much now when you beat at Bangladesh.
I
You
agree.
can be
I agree.
happy, drink a beer, yeah, and you know, and so, but don't but I get too jumpy because that is not a big test. Having said that, though, what the guys did was truly remarkable. Just the size of
Yes.
the run chase alone should have made them crumble. Could have made them crumble. It didn't. They
Right.
pursued and they won. So to me, that is a glimmer of hope, right? But you know, the West Indian people, you know, our people here, certainly in Jamaica and across the region, we thrive on, insofar as sport is concerned, we thrive on immediate gratification.
That's true.
we,
So true.
you know,
So
you
true.
play good now. We're not into any building up thing. You know, play good, just like the football. When
Mhm.
Jamaica is winning, the stadium is full of people when Jamaica plays well and they're winning. If they lose one match, you know, only the die-hard people go to the match. You know, as opposed to when you go to Mexico, no matter if Mexico is last and the stadium will be full. You know, you go to England and England play, the stadium will be full regardless. You go to Spanish, Spain, the stadium will be full. We don't have that kind of culture. We thrive on, all right, the side is playing well. Yeah, man, let's go support them. Look all right, them look all right. You know, so it's a different kind of a culture,
Yeah.
you know, which sometimes work against us.
The, the,
Sometimes it may work for because you
right.
know it sometimes can influence the players to want to strive to do better to try and please the home country. You know, so it's
But
quite
but
interesting.
before we move on to something else, John, the positive that we can take from that series against Bangladesh, despite the fact that Bangladesh is all the way down in the ranking, the positive we can take from that, like you said before, is how the test series was won. How they won the series, how convincingly they won the series. Not only that, but I recall that these guys actually said with some level of certainty that they were going to win the test cricket. They were going to
Oh
win the test
yeah.
by far. They were going to win the series. And so when you look at that level of confidence and the result thereafter, right? There is some level of momentum that we can move over to the next series that's coming up. It's just for the selectors to make sure they do everything in their power to keep these guys motivated, keep
Yeah,
it going.
yeah,
You know,
yeah,
because remember, some of these guys, if they're not selected, and it's not, and there is not a good reason for us to reason why they weren't selected, they can lose all of that motivation that they had coming out of that series.
yeah,
So we have to make sure that we nurture these young guys, and we show them a lot of respect for what they did in Bangladesh, and hopefully we have enough sports psychologists and so forth to
yeah,
jump in and be able to use it to our advantage. Don't let it go to waste, because you and I know, listening from Wavell, that we have a problem, because it's like the bottom is falling out, because high school guys, they don't think that cricket is cool anymore. They don't want to play cricket. And then he talk about also, you know the procurement of the gears, how expensive it is, and so forth. So then, there is a problem. And I guess a question that I would want to ask him is, that could be a business for one of these guys too. Even somebody in a different sport to go in and maybe form an academy whereby they provide all of these necessary gears and the necessary facility for cricket, and see if we can get back cricket to where it's supposed to be, starting from the grassroots level. That could be a business, because
well,
I'm sure if you use it as an extension program after school, it could attract a lot of guys who cannot make the football team or who cannot make the track and field team. But if it continues the way Wevel is saying that it's going right now, I'm almost certain that those who predict that the sport might not be the way it is within the next 10 years, it's definitely not going to be the same.
Let me just show, because I've been kind of listening to you and looking at the responses from our listeners, and let me just throw one on you here. Somebody's asking, Troy Malcolm is asking, what are some of the factors that contributed to the downfall of West Indies cricket in recent years? And it's a pertinent question, but which we kind of touched on that last week as well. And I mean, from my own perspective, and from what I would have seen out there, I can perhaps name one thing for sure. One of it has to do with just a lack of, should I say, proper coaching personnel. We have to move beyond, the PE teacher, just the PE teacher who is, not that the PE teacher can't do it, but the PE teacher is, the math teacher who used to play cricket is coaching the side, because he used to be a good cricketer in school, but he's a math teacher now, and he's, they call him to coach the side. We have to move beyond that. We have to make sure that we have, but particularly when it comes to learning the fundamentals of the sport, of any sport, but certainly cricket, which calls for fine skills. We have to invest wisely in coaching at that level. The second thing is, I think we have been very complacent over time. Certainly during the halcyon days, when West Indies was the top of the line side and we were doing well, I don't think we invested enough in training continuity. Every school should have had, for instance, a practice. Well, let me not say every school, but most schools at the very least should have had concrete training. If you go around the island, most schools, for instance, and when I say around the island, I'm talking about in the islands across the region. It's a similar situation. When you check out the facilities and infrastructure, the football field is shared with the cricket pitch. The cricket pitch is in the middle of the football field. So therefore, when it's football season, your cricket can't play too well there. One, because you can't play on a pitch that is full of studs. So we have, but if you had a concrete pitch on the side, you could still practice your strokes. You still could, and in the net, so to speak. You could still practice your strokes, but that doesn't exist in the schools.
Right.
That doesn't exist. So you have to wait until cricket season till the football guys take a rest now. And then the cricket guys come out and roll the pitch, we start to play again. You can't do that. That doesn't happen in the Australias and the Englands. They have long gone past that. You can't compete with them like that. So that is at least two reasons why,
Well, see, we've touched on a very important thing last week, whereby he said that, cricket is not played on the streets anymore or in the neighborhoods anymore. Remember that's where you and I maybe started playing cricket in our little community. We started off with some a bat that's made from the
right. So that's recreational cricket,
coconut whatever the leaf is or whatever the trunk of that or whatever you call it. And then we started off with maybe a tennis ball or even a ball that's made from wood. These guys don't do that anymore. When you get to school, remember that we used to have one term for cricket, one term for football, and so forth. I'm not quite sure if that is in the system anymore for PE, because a lot of schools don't even do physical education anymore.
Right. Good point. But here, that is the point again. That way you have to move beyond the it's football season, it's cricket season.
Exactly.
That cannot work again. No, I'm not advocating that kids should specialize too early. I don't believe in too early specialization.
Right.
But I believe in progressive training and progressive development and progressive until the point where you can now select your sport. I believe in that. But it should be that if a kid wishes to play cricket any time of the any part of the year, he or she should be able to do so. Similarly in football, it shouldn't be that, oh, it's cricket season, I can't even play no football. It shouldn't be that. It's football, it's that season, I can't play volleyball. The opportunity to play should be here throughout the year. That's my point. But I want to read
I
another.
I
Go
agree
ahead.
with you. I agree with you, John, on that. What I'm saying though is I'm talking about the introductory stage. So I'm looking at the bottom side of it. The other problem that I see, trying to answer Troy's question as quick as possible, the other part of it that I see is the fact that we don't see sports as a possible career path. A lot of our sports, we don't see it as a possible career path. And we have to start looking at sport as a possible career path. And if you look at it from that point of view, then what you will do, you will always create an environment, which is what you're talking about, John, that will promote the sport, starting from arrangement so that the sport can be played, you know, with a level of frequency that will allow whoever is interested in the sport to excel in
Yeah,
the sport,
right, right, right,
right?
right.
So until we see that, so we look at it from the bottom end, the top end of it, we have to be able to show these guys why it's important to play that particular sport. This can be a career. I don't think most of the guys who are not playing sport, right? I don't think they see cricket as something that they can use as a career.
Well,
So
well,
within the school, before they even start trying to promote an increase in the number of kids who are going to play the sport, you have to have one of these guys like Quavel would be a good guy to go in and speak to them on, where the sport can take them. Because definitely a lot of these kids, while the traditional form of education is important, a lot of these kids need to start focus elsewhere because the traditional form of education is only taking about, you say 8 to 10% of the kids to the traditional career that they're looking for. So when you think about the other 90%, if we look at it at a 10% ratio, 10%, then what happened to the other 90%? You have to create something for them. And that's why I say sometimes it's not just within the school, but also the Ministry of Education has to do something. They have to show the kids whereby sports can be used as a career path.
well, that's some important things you're talking about there. But let me just back up a little bit because, in all fairness, the realization that sport can be a career has begun. Maybe not as much as we'd want, but I think the realization is coming to the fore now. And certainly in football, what we don't have, I think, is the realization is there. What I think we don't have is the systems in place to facilitate that person, the transition of that kid from high school, club, into his professional career. Because mind you, the perception is still that when you go to school, you learn to read and write, you do that, you pass your exam and go look at work. You go look at work. The traditional work. The education system doesn't even teach us to be entrepreneurs. It never did. It prepares us to go look at work. And
Exactly.
this is why I had to emphasize again that I'm so pleased with some of the regular boys and the athletes who are venturing into, entrepreneurial tendencies, right? So I'm happy for that. But I think, as I said, I think the realization has begun. I think it's just now for us to put in systems to make sure that you don't look down on the kid who chooses sport. You don't say, I'm gonna do football. It should be a system where you can still do the required academics, but still have the opportunity to perfect your sporting skills with a view to being a professional sports person, but who can read and write and do maths just as well. you know, yeah, we have to move away from that. And
Yeah,
other countries are doing that.
right. We do have
We
we do
are
have that
behind. We are behind.
we do have that mindset, and we gotta start become owners of ourselves. And this program, like we said before, is more of an educational program. We're not just discussing sport. And it's time for us to start be ownership of ourselves and make ourselves relevant. Don't be ownership of the person who create the job for you. You got to remember most of what we're seeing right now in Jamaica, if we touch on this for a little bit, is the fact that we have a situation whereby we're owned by somebody else because we're working for somebody else. The employers own the job. We really do not own or ourselves. So we don't create a career for ourselves. What we need to do is create more career for ourselves in
Right.
sport. In sport, because there's a lot of opportunity in sports. Any more questions from the?
Yeah, right. I'm gonna give you one comment that somebody made. DB, I think that was dialogue again. Dialogue road. I'm not gonna mistake this time. But he's saying though, a comment that maybe the fact that it might be hard to select the West Indies team is a good thing.
Yes.
In that there are so many good players to potentially choose from, and he believes that's a good thing. It is a good thing because it
I
means
think so. I think so.
that indeed
Guys are gonna have to keep their game up to par. They're gonna
there's
keep
a
their game
pool
up
of
to par, and
talent.
there's competition. Competition always create a better result.
There's a
It's
there's
always
a
gonna
pool
create
of
a better
talent,
result. So I agree with DB, definitely.
There's a
Yes.
pool of
But
talent.
so we can move on to some track and field,
Yes,
man.
right away, right away, right away.
And we have to go on to tennis too, because remember that we have just witnessed the ending of the ending of the first major for the year, or the first Grand Slam for the year, Australian Open. But yeah, we just had a world record being broken by Grant Holloway. You know,
Oh, yeah, right.
it was a 27-year-old record. By Colin, I think it was. I'm trying to make sure. Yes, by Colin Jackson from Britain. And Grant set a new world record, 7.29 in the 60-meter high hurdle. I've been
Wow.
watching this guy for a while now, coming out of the college that he's attending in Florida. He is going to be something else. I believe I'm making this prediction right now. I'm calling it right now. I think he's going to break that world record in the 110-meter hurdle.
Okay.
I think he's
Well,
going to break it at the Olympics, or possibly before the Olympics. He's just that good. He
well,
is flawless over the hurdles.
let's say this. Anybody who performs well at the Olympics this year, I mean, beyond the ordinary, I have to lift my hat. Well, I have to fling my hat for that person because these are just very difficult times to train.
Hmm.
The uncertainty, it's not easy to train. I remember, we have to have, like, right here in Jamaica, several development meets, several have been cancelled over time. So the athletes have not been able to, to hone their skills and to develop as much as they should, particularly the younger athletes.
Yeah.
It's lacking. So anybody who
Yeah.
can go to the Olympics and perform well, I have to applaud them, because it's not
So
easy. Not easy, you know.
for those who might be wondering who Grant Holloway is, he is a member of the U.S. team, and his personal best in the 110. He's just 23 years old. His personal best in the 110-meter hurdle is 12.98, and the world record is 12.80, which was set by Erith Merritt back in 2012.
Right.
So that record been sitting there for a long time too. It's always a difficult task whenever it comes to the high hurdle. If you remember how long Nehemiah record stood for
Yes,
before.
man. Champion.
So it's always
Champion
a
guy.
difficult feat whenever it comes to the high hurdles.
Yeah, yeah. It's
But
a difficult sport,
when you have McLeod inserted into the race with him, and whatever, I forget, Lamar, what's Lamar from France, whatever his name is from France, is going to be something else. I think he's going to break the world record without a doubt. And that's a good thing. It's very good for the sport. Yeah. So, and our own Danielle Williams, she's doing very well, very well. Um, Over the past weekend, she did a personal best. She had a personal record in the 60-meter high hurdle. She clocked a 7.86 seconds. And I watched the race. I watched it about 4 or 5 times. And what I can see is that she is just as sharp as she was prior to
Right.
in 2019. She's just as sharp. Um, I think she's back, and she, of course, for those of our listener who is not aware of it, she is the the world champion from 2015, which was held, and she placed fourth at the Rio Olympics. You
Right.
know, she was the favorite to win at the Rio Olympics. But she came in fourth. So I'm looking for a spectacular season from her,
Yeah,
honestly.
well, a spectacular season from several of the athletes, especially from those who came from Jamaica and are now in US colleges. They are performing exceptionally well.
Yes.
Yes, exceptionally well. All of them. There's one called Nikisha Price,
Uh-huh.
who was formerly of Veertech. She won the 100 and 200 meters recently at a meet in the States. In fact, she was named as the female athlete for the week. The what do you call it? The National Junior College Athletics Association National Female Athlete of the Week for her performance. And she's Jamaican. She used to go to Veer. Um, there's one Courtney Lawrence as well.
Mm-hmm.
He has also done quite well, and he was also named. I think we spoke about him a week or 2 weeks ago or so. He was also named as an athlete of the week. So we have several athletes who are performing incredibly well on
Yeah.
this landscape, man, and we have to keep in check, a check on those.
John, there's something I have to discuss with you, and it relates to Kivona Davis.
Ooh, right.
And there are so many people that I've seen that I think, in my opinion, they don't know anything about track and field, and they're criticizing her, not understanding how the sports of track and field goes. And people who knows about the sport, they're saying what I'm saying is that, if you observe her, I've seen her throughout her years in high school, and I've never seen her came from the starting block leading. She's always behind. She's not a quick starter. Her reaction is just not there. And that is common to some sprinters. It's not something that is not common to some sprinters. But she has one of the best top end speed I've ever seen of any athlete her age group.
Yeah.
Right? And for the people who are criticizing, I just want to draw their attention to what we call certain training principle that you're familiar with, John. The principle of progression and overload. You can't take somebody out of the system that they were in Jamaica, whereby we don't even run 60 meters. Not even in high school. We might do it for speed training in training, but you don't do it at the meets in Jamaica. Put her indoor on an indoor track and expect her to perform well. And also, you have to bear in mind that this is a person who is not traditionally a quick starter, right? But, and I remember 2 times I've seen Kavona Davis try to react as she thought she should. And guess what happened? She ended up false starting and got kicked out of the race 2 times. Okay, so I would definitely tell the people who are doubting her doubters, don't doubt Kivona Davis. She is going to be okay. As a matter of fact, if you look at the 200 meter that she ran, I think she has the best time coming out of Jamaica of any athlete in Jamaica in the 200 meters so far. You know, no, this is not something that we should glorify a lot, because remember that the Jamaican athletes have been competing, of course, but that is something very remarkable considering her age, just 19 years old. So I think she's going to be okay. I think we just got to give her time, and we just got to realize the difference between running on the indoor track and an outdoor track. Even though they have brought the Mando track indoors now, and it's supposed to be a good surface, it's a totally different thing. A 60-meter race, by the time you realize what's going on in the race ended. It ended.
Anybody who anybody who is in doubt of Corona's Cavona's talent and ability, anybody would be a buffoon. She's an exceptional talent. When you like it or not. No, but she's an exceptional talent. The fact that she hasn't yet mushroomed, maybe whatever, but she's an exceptional talent, and we know that. So anybody who says she's faulty or whatever, the fault must be with the coaching. Cannot be her talent.
Like I said, she did well in the 200-meter, and
Cannot be her talent.
Even though the 200-meter is a one lap around the track, it's still difficult because of the embankment on the track. Jamaicans are not used to that. We're not used to that. We don't run like that. Yeah, I run indoors here also, and it's very difficult to run indoors. You're concerned about the steep curve, how to maneuver the curve and so forth. So it's a totally different race. You're running two curves on the 200-meter in Jamaica. On the 400-meter track, you're running one curve, and that's it. You know what I mean? So it's a totally different ball game.
Different mindset, different thing.
Right, it's totally different. So she's gonna be okay. So I have no doubt that she's gonna be doing a lot better when she gets.
Oh yeah. So let me hold on before we go any further. I just want to make quick note of Rossi High School past student, Lamara Distin.
Yes,
she is actually doing again quite well at university in Texas there. And remember, she was actually the class 3 high jump. She still has the class 3 high jump at Western Champs here in Jamaica. And she's now in the States again doing some awesome performances there. So again, just to cap it off, that the Jamaican athletes are doing remarkably well right across the United States thing. And I have to applaud the United States for providing. I don't know how they do it in this COVID times. They're still having meets.
Yes. John, I don't know how many people are aware of it, but we have so many Jamaican athletes in top programs in America currently. There are so many of them. I'm talking about, very good programs. Like Kivona is at Texas, and you talk about this a while ago, is at Texas, and it's more than I've ever seen. And so it's just a matter of us just be patient. And I don't think I don't see another Usain Bolt yet. If I see it, I would announce it. But
let me know when you see it.
even Christopher Taylor is doing an outstanding job. He ran a very good 400-meter race. And it's something that it impresses a lot of people. Andre DeGrasse from Canada is very impressed and think that he's going to be one of the best.
Yeah, man, he's a champion youth, man.
Without a doubt. I'm still one of those people who believe that it's too early to tell whether he's going to be a great 400-meter runner or he's going to be greater at 200-meter or 100-meter, especially the 200 meters. So I hope that Rena is doing a good job making sure that he select the best possible event for him. I'm hoping that he's doing that. But we have to announce, John, that finally J3 has received the green light to go ahead and start having development meets and so forth. And I think I went through, and I think there are about 11 designated spot for the upcoming weekend, including, I see Herbert Morrison, I see Cornwall College, I see it's so many areas that are covered. I think it's 11.
Yeah, but guess what? You know what importantly, we spoke about this. There's no mention of the stadium in Montego Bay, the
Yes,
sports complex.
right. That wasn't mentioned at
How
all.
could that not be in? So I'm saying to you, how could that not be functional? How what could cause that to be non-functional in this time? Yeah. Sometimes I don't understand these things. I'm telling you, I really don't
Yeah,
understand.
and you know, it's getting closer and closer. It's only 5 months out from the Olympics, and you know, the 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 prime minister of Japan, Suga, he announced that he has received full support from the G7 nation. So that is to tell us that it's almost certain that the Olympics is going to be held. The Olympic that was postponed from 2020 is going to be held in 2021. Now, my question, John, is how will this lack of preparation, um, the preparation opportunities, how will those preparation opportunities that Jamaica at least did not receive, how will it affect the Jamaican performance in Tokyo? How do you think it will
And that's
affect
why I
their performance?
mentioned earlier that any athlete who goes to the Olympic and performs well deserves an applause because the training circumstances, the training time, everything was chaotic. The lack of practice and so on. So if you can go to the Olympics and perform well, I'm telling you, that is quite a
What do you
remark.
think? Understand though, coming from the Jamaican camp, the J3 and Minister of Sports and Ministry of Health and Wellness. I can't understand what took so long because the only sport that was given they had given permission to was horse racing. You know, I'm questioning, does any of those guys have shares in the horse racing and stuff? Because
Well, put it this way.
what
Well, put it this way. Let me just say though that a lot of this had to do with fear and uncertainty. They just didn't know this pandemic. They just didn't know what they were dealing with. They couldn't afford to make a mistake. They couldn't afford that. They had to err on the side of caution. Maybe so they had to be even in many instances overcautious because they just didn't know how to handle the situation. Well, I don't know, but horse racing, certainly a guy is on a horse riding away from you, so maybe and they have one mask anyway and glasses. So I guess that was seen as being okay, we can ease up on the horse race. And I guess one reason that the horse race people put forward was that the horses need to be run. They need to be raced because they are race horses. You can't have them sitting down. They'll
the
just
same thing with our athletes. It's the same thing with our athletes.
well,
They-
I don't know, but the horses cannot stay steady. They'll probably just dead. They'll
That's
probably
the same thing
die.
with our athletes. They need that preparation opportunity that goes beyond practice. They need to be competing. And I think it could have been done safely. And if you look back to one of the meets that was held earlier on, I think earlier on, I don't remember if it was December or whatever it was, there was a system that they could follow. You know, right now they're saying that they're going to be following strict protocol, whereby no only a certain amount of officials will be allowed for each team. There will be no spectators and
Yeah,
so
yeah.
forth.
Well, let's
I
stick
can
with
see why
regular.
they have been put in place, and they at least get what they need because they need it. You know, thinking about 5 months is not very far away when it comes to track and field. You know,
Oh, no,
they need that competition. They need to compete, and it put them at a disadvantage to other athletes all around the world who were given opportunity in Germany. They are performing. I think that's where Grant Holloway broke the world record. I think it's in Germany. You know, United States of America, they have meat. They had the America, what was it? The American League or whatever it was called. The fourth one was the final one the one that Daniel Williams ran the other day. That was the final one on Saturday. So, we could have done better. I'm telling you the truth. And I'm saying it as a joke, but I'm truly wondering now if any one of the minister of government or so forth, they had some shares in horse racing or something. Why they
Yeah.
pay so much attention to horse racing and no other sports in Jamaica.
As I say, it was a lot of it had to do with fear, just fear
Yeah,
of the.
but finally, we have to touch on the Australian Open, and we have to, I heard you ask the question last week. I think you wanted to find out why is it that um, Serena Williams was crying, and I think it was just pure emotion, and also the questions that were being asked by some of the reporters. I think she started crying when one reporter asked her that if she was going to retire from the sport, that the word out that she was going to retire from the sport. And then that's when she got upset and actually did not continue go any further with the interview. But she's another legend that I look on as it relates to the sport that she's in. You know, we have to remember what she has done for the sports and so forth, and we have to allow her to leave the sport when she feel like it's time for her to leave. And Serena had been through a lot. I've watched her and her sister,
Yeah.
because I'm a tennis fan. I'm a tennis fan. I love tennis. I watch it. I play tennis, and but I've seen them. They've been through a lot as black athletes
Oh yeah.
playing a sport that is traditionally a white sport. I've seen a lot of things that they've been through until they earned the respect that nobody who is white have to work so hard to earn in their sport. And now they're down in the record books, of course, of as two of the best who have ever played the game. I want to applaud them for that. But definitely it is going to be emotional for her. But for us as West Indians, um, it's not too emotional for me because while I respect Serena game, I have to, you know, be cheering on or Naomi, because Naomi, her dad is from Haiti, so we have to cheer her on, and she's exceptional player. I mean, we have to give it to her. Naomi Osaka is doing things at 23-year-old that is unheard of. I don't know how many people realize that winning the Australian Open was actually, I think it was her fourth consecutive major.
Oh
You know, Only two other individuals were able to do that.
wow.
One of which is Roger Federer, and the other one is, I think, is Monica Seles was able to do that.
Oh
And so that's outstanding performance from a 23-year-old. When you look at some of the things that she has done, um, she has won her first four slim final. You know, um, I'm sorry, slams final. Her first four slam final. And for those of us who know about tennis, you know, that's one of the most difficult thing to do. To win your first four. Like I said before, only two other individuals have done that. And when we talk about the Grand Slam, we're talking about high rank in tennis. You know, um, she's um He's only the seventh active player, male or female, to have four Grand Slam titles,
wow.
right? We're talking about Grand Slam titles, total titles. And, of course, she is the fourth active female player. And we know who lead the list, of course, is Serena Williams with 23 Grand Slam. Venus has 7 Grand Slam. Um, Kim Schlesinger has 4 Grand Slam. And then you have on the men's side, you have Roger Federer with 20 Grand Slam, Rafael Nadal with 20, and Novak Djokovic with 18 Grand Slam. Now, we're just calling backing out numbers, and people don't. I hope our viewers realize how difficult it is to go and win as it relates to Grand Slam or majors. And one of the things that is so remarkable about Naomi is the fact that she is on, I think they say she's on a 21 game winning streak.
Wow. Right.
You
Wow.
know, 21 winning streak. So then and I see that her, you know, her strength. I'm saying game. I should have my mistake. I should have said match winning streak. You know, so that is outstanding, even more so when you look at it from a match point of view. You know, game 21 game winning streak is not bad either. But we're talking about 21 matches as it comes to you know, she left the Australian Open with a 21 game match winning streak. That is unbelievable. But you know, she's one of them hardcore players. I want to see what she's gonna do when it relates as it relates to like the French Open that is played on clay and Wimbledon that is played on grass. So right now she's showing strength as it relates to the other two Grand Slam that is played on hard court, which is the Australian Open and the US Open, which is the final one tournament for the year. So up next is the French Open. So we'll see what she's gonna do. But as a result of her win, she's now ranked number 2 in the world. You
Wow.
know, um, the ranking how it's done is hard to understand because there is no doubt in my mind that Naomi Osaka is the best female tennis player that we have right now. And I don't see for the near future, as long as she stays healthy, I don't see who is going to beat her on hard court because her opponent is no chicken. To be honest with you, it was what's her name? The Jennifer. What's her last name again? Jennifer Brady. That's Jennifer Brady. And she's a very hard server, you know, very young tennis player, also outstanding. But to see the way she handled her in a straight set, two sets, um, uh, you know, I think it was 6-2 and 6-4 or something like that. I can't remember what it was, but it was straight set. So when you think about that, you know, and the way she's improving her game, she's getting better in many areas with her serve. She's getting a lot better with her rallies and so forth. The speed of and the power that she's also bringing right now in her serve, she's gonna be a force to reckon with for a long, long time.
Oh yeah, certainly, certainly, most certainly. Right. Okay, so then we're wrapping up now.
Yeah. So before we close, John, I just want to say thanks to some of the people that we do not see on our show, who is in of course in the central room, ensuring that the show is successful. When I speak about, I'm speaking about people like Norwin. I'm speaking about people like our president Troy Malcolm. I'm speaking about people like Carlene, who is always out there making sure that our flyers go out, so that people can know who our guest is going to be, and so that people can be reminded that our show is upcoming. I want to say thanks to you guys and want to let you know that we recognize what you're doing for us, and we want you to continue to do the hard work that you're doing to ensure that this show is successful. We want to encourage our listeners to remember to like, share, and subscribe to the program. And
Yes.
until next week, I want to say good night and happy Friday, our weekend eve, or Friday eve.
Yes. Bon voyage.
Bye now.
Take care, all.